There are villains, and then there are men who become something much more dangerous. Men who don't just want power. They want revenge, they want control, and they want everyone who stands in their way to suffer. That is the story of Mapoloba. A man who once occupied a position of power, but eventually found himself operating in a much darker world. And now, his war with Chuma has reached a point where this is no longer about money. It is personal. And the question is, how far is Mapoloba prepared to go? When Mapoloba entered the world of Izitha, he was not simply another criminal looking for an opportunity. He had a past, he had influence, and he had a reason to be dangerous. Mapoloba was a former mayor who had entered the underworld with one thing driving him: revenge. He wanted to avenge his daughter's death, and he wanted to rebuild his empire. But rebuilding an empire is never easy, especially when there are people willing to challenge your power. And one of those people was Chuma. Chuma and Mapoloba were always heading towards a collision. But then money made the situation even more dangerous. A huge amount of money became the center of a dangerous plan. Chuma and his crew saw an opportunity. They went after Mapoloba's money, and for a moment, it looked like they had pulled it off. The money was taken, the plan had worked, but there was one major problem. The money was locked away. They had taken the fortune, but they could not simply enjoy it. And that was only the beginning, because when you steal from a man like Mapoloba, you had better be ready for what comes next. Mapoloba was not going to simply forget what had happened. The conflict became darker. Violence followed. People were caught in the middle. And the battle between Mapoloba and Chuma began changing from a fight over money into a fight over power. Then came betrayal, and this is where everything changed. Because sometimes the most dangerous weapon against a man is not a gun, it is a secret. Chuma's world began to collapse when the truth about Nolitha and Mapoloba came out. The revelation was devastating, but the scandal did not stop there. A private video exposing their affair was leaked, and suddenly, Chuma was facing something much bigger than an enemy. He was facing betrayal. The person he trusted had been hiding something from him, and Mapoloba was at the center of it. Now ask yourself, what happens when a man who has already lost so much is pushed beyond his limit? Does he walk away? Does he forgive? Or does he choose revenge? This is what makes Mapoloba so dangerous. He does not always need to attack his enemy directly. He looks for the thing that enemy cannot afford to lose. For Chuma, that could be his family. And that is exactly where this war is heading. The latest storyline points towards Mapoloba declaring war on Chuma. But this time, the stakes are much higher. Mapoloba's search for OJ puts Chuma's family in danger. And soon, Chuma may be forced to choose between protecting the people he loves and fighting the man who has become his greatest enemy. But there is something Mapoloba may not have considered. Every time you push a man into a corner, you create desperation. And desperate people are unpredictable. Mapoloba may have money. He may have power. He may have connections. But Chuma has something else. Something far more dangerous. A reason to fight. And now this is no longer just Mapoloba's war. It is Chuma's war too. So the question is no longer who has more money, who has more power, or who has the strongest connections. The real question is, who will break first? Will Mapoloba finally destroy Chuma? Or has he pushed Chuma so far that he has created the one enemy he can no longer control? And what happens when family